Funny how people unsubscribe from your life without notice. One day they swear forever, the next they're gone. But hey, if you're here, hit subscribe. It's free, unlike loyalty. Throwaway account, so go ahead and get your "this is fake" because new account comments out of the way early. I, 32F, had a baby boy when I was 16. Yes, I know how that sounds. No, we weren't careful. Judge me all you want, I've been dealing with that for years. Mike, 33M, was my boyfriend back then. When I told him I was pregnant, he vanished, poof, gone like I'd imagined our entire relationship. His family made sure of it. Something about protecting his future as a college star. My parents, blunt as always, left the decision to me. And after a lot of soul-searching, I knew abortion wasn't for me. No judgment toward anyone who chooses differently, it just wasn't my path. We were lucky. My parents knew a couple who desperately wanted a child. The moment I met them, I knew they were the right ones. What started as a teenage mistake turned into something more, an almost surrogacy. I was homeschooled to finish my education while carrying the baby, and the adoptive parents were by my side through everything. They even covered most of the medical expenses. The adoptive mother, a teacher, helped me with my studies and prepared me for college. When I gave birth, I refused to hold him. She held him, his real mother. And it felt right. I stayed in his life, but only as a distant presence, his special aunt. Now at 16 he knows who I am. He jokes that he at least knows where to find a kidney if he ever needs one. His humor? Uncannily like mine. We talk maybe once in a blue moon, and honestly that's enough. He's happy. And I don't regret giving him up to be happy. As for me, life moved forward. I married 6 years ago. My husband, Aaron, 44M, was previously married to Bella, 40F. They have 2 kids, a 16-year-old son and a 19-year-old daughter. From the start, Aaron was upfront. His children's approval mattered, and Bella would always be part of his life. Not as a spouse, but as their mother and his lifelong friend. I respected that. I even told Aaron and Bella about my past, about the baby I had at 16. My stepdaughter and I get along well. She's closer to her mother naturally, but we still have our occasional girls' days. More like friends than anything. My stepson, though? We're incredibly close. He calls me his other mom and always wants me at his important moments. We bonded years ago when his childhood dog passed, right when my cat died. Shared grief has a way of tying people together. And Bella? She's my best friend. I know relationships with exes can be messy, but we built ours on mutual respect. I never tried to replace her. Aaron and Bella had their story before I ever came into the picture. That's their history. I'm the stepmom, not the mom. But now, the past I thought I'd left behind is clawing its way back. And Mike, the man who disappeared when I needed him most, wants to be a father. 16 years later. Their history is theirs. I am a stepmother, not a replacement. Bella's place in her kids' lives is not up for competition. I'm telling you all this because the mess with Mike started in the most unexpected way, at a simple medical appointment for my stepson. It wasn't anything serious, but he needed anesthesia. Aaron and Bella both tried to get the day off, but their jobs are on call. They couldn't. So I went alone, to be there for my stepson, to support him. I didn't recognize Mike. Not at first. His real name, both first and last, are incredibly common, and it had been years. My priority was my stepson, not scanning the room for ghosts from my past. I was getting my stepson settled in the car afterward, making sure he was comfortable, when a voice stopped me. I've been thinking about you and Arzon for so long. I'm so glad our boy is okay. My brain took a full minute to process what was happening. He kept talking, apologies spilling out, excuses tumbling over themselves. He wasn't ready to be a father. He needed time. He wanted to make things right. Blah, blah, blah. I sighed loudly and cut him off. This is not the baby I was pregnant with. I gave him up for adoption after I gave birth. I am a stepmother. And then, as if on cue, my loopy, half-anesthetized stepson chimed in cheerfully, "Other mom." I had to fight back a smirk. Mike looked like I had slapped him. I used that moment of stunned silence to lay it all out. I gave up the baby. He knows what happened and why I gave him up. I'm happy. I do not want Mike in my life. And no, I will not give him contact information for the adoptive family. He is 16 years too late. I got in the car and drove home, thinking that was the end of it. It wasn't. Mike found me on social media. He's spinning a sob story, painting himself as the wronged father whose cruel ex denied him the chance to raise his son. According to him, I'm the monster who abandoned my child, only to raise someone else's. I am, apparently, the devil incarnate. Thankfully, most of our former classmates shut him down. Many reminded him he left me. Some of his old high school friends even revealed he laughed about ditching me when I was pregnant. I never knew that part. But a few of his relatives? They've started reaching out. They think I stole Mike's chance to be a father. And they're not letting it go. Apparently, I'm not just a terrible person. I'm also a bad Christian. Which is hilarious because I'm Jewish. Some of Mike's relatives have been reaching out, claiming I robbed him of his chance to be a father, and somehow, that also makes me a poor Christian woman. A few of my friends, well, loosely defined friends, said it was wrong of me to give up the baby without informing Mike. But I don't think I did anything wrong. Just to clear things up, the adoptive parents and my biological son have always had a way to contact Mike's parents if they wanted to. I have no control over whether they use it. I just refuse to give Mike any direct information. He lost that right 16 years ago. Reddit has been weighing in and I've been reading the responses. Some highlights. One therapist pointed out that Mike lacks impulse control and empathy, qualities that prove he had no business raising a child to begin with. Another commenter, also Jewish, told me to laugh off the bad Christian comments. My mom loves them. She's Catholic, so she finds it extra funny when I get accused of failing at a religion I don't even follow. A few people asked who these so-called friends were, calling me a bad person for making a responsible decision. Answer? They're conservative acquaintances. I use the term friends loosely. Most agreed that Mike should be blocked. My biological son may decide one day to contact his birth father, but it's my job to protect his privacy until then. And here's the thing. My son already knows everything. When his parents decided it was time to tell him who I really was, I was honest. I didn't make Mike into a villain. I simply told him that his father left after I got pregnant and never reached out again. His response? He understands I am his biological mother, and that Mike is his biological father. But he doesn't see either of us as parents. I'm his aunt. And Mike is a stranger. Some people even suggested legal action. Reporting him to the medical board for approaching me at the hospital. Consulting a lawyer about the slander he's spreading online. Right now, though, legal stuff isn't a priority. We're in the middle of a major surgery schedule at work, and honestly, I have better things to do. I did warn the adoptive parents about what's happening. Luckily, they live in another state, which puts some much-needed distance between them and Mike's sudden, desperate need for redemption. As for the adoption itself, Mike's rights were terminated for abandonment. He was gone. Unreachable. His family wouldn't even provide a DNA sample to prove paternity. The court tried hard to contact him, but he ignored every attempt. Eventually, the legal time frame ran out. My own rights? I willingly terminated them. I wasn't fit to be a mother at 16, and I knew it. Thankfully, the judge understood my situation and made the right call for both me and the baby. And I have never regretted that decision. I wanted my son to grow up without seeing me as his mother. I wanted him to love his family, the one who raised him. And he does. That's why I'm happy. Not just because I moved on, but because he did too. Mike finally got his answer. After years of avoiding responsibility, making excuses, and blaming everyone but himself, he had one chance to step up. And what did he do? He demanded a role he had no right to claim. My biological son made his decision. He didn't want Mike in his life. He didn't need a second father, especially not one who was only interested in playing the part when it was convenient. His adoptive parents gave him the love, care, and support he deserved, and he had no reason to look back. As for me, I had no regrets. The pain I once felt had long since turned into gratitude. I had given my son a life he could thrive in, and I had built a beautiful life of my own. A loving husband, wonderful stepchildren, and a best friend in their mother. My role as a special aunt was enough, and I wouldn't change a thing. Mike, on the other hand, had lost everything before he even realized what he wanted. And now it was too late. I made sure to report his harassment to the hospital. By the time we got home, he had already deleted all his social media posts, but it didn't matter. His former friends had already spread the screenshots, laughing at his pathetic attempt to rewrite history. The silver lining? This whole ordeal reconnected me with my high school classmates, people I hadn't spoken to in years who turned out to be far better than I ever expected. Turns out, Mike was just one of the few who never grew up. And the best part? My husband was beaming with pride after overhearing me tear into Mike. He's been insufferable in the best way since then, constantly reminding me how lucky he is to have me. As for our future, we're excited about the possibility of expanding our family. A baby born from love, not regret. Does this story resonate with you? Life doesn't give second chances to people who run from responsibility. Mike thought he could come back and rewrite the past, but life had already moved on without him. This story is a reminder that choices have consequences, and that sometimes the best love we can give is knowing when to let go. If this story touched you, let us know in the comments. Have you ever faced a moment where you had to put the past behind you? Share your thoughts and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories.